In this video, we're going to talk about how you can make $20,000 each month as a recruiting agency owner. Hey, what's up YouTube? It's Natasha, the business recruiter. Welcome back to my channel. So as you already know, because you are here watching this video, there is a ton of money to be made within the recruiting industry. And part of the reason is because all of these organizations, from big organizations to small organizations, simply don't have the resources available in order to be able to fill their open requisitions. Especially we're in a point where we're in a peak hiring season. Now I know for the last 6 months or so, it's been very difficult from a recruiting agency perspective. There's been a lot of organizations that have been doing countless layoffs, as well as just downsizing with the imminent recession. However, that's not to say that there still aren't opportunities for you to be able to make a significant amount of money, up to $20,000 each month, with being a recruiting agency owner. And one of the things that you're going to make sure that you do during this time is to make sure that you are effectively negotiating your contracts when you do have prospective clients that are interested in your services. Well, I know that you're probably wondering, well, how do you do this? Or what are some of the elements that you really should focus on when you are negotiating your contracts? I am here to tell you that there are 3 main elements that you want to take into consideration when you're negotiating any contract with a prospective client. The first thing is going to be your placement fee. Now, this is extremely important, and I don't want you to take this lightly. And part of the reason is because your placement fee should be a direct correlation of the types of requisitions that you're going to be filling. If they're more on the entry-level side, then your placement fee might be closer to 15 or 20%. But if these are niche roles and they're going to take a significant amount of time in order for you to be able to fill, or if they are just more senior level roles, let's say like a vice president, a director, or even someone within the C-suite, so meaning a chief executive officer or a chief marketing officer, then you're going to want to make sure that you're compensated fairly for the amount of work that you're about to put in with that search. This means that your placement fee might be closer to 35 or even 40% in some cases. Now, the range in terms of where you can fall in regards to your placement fee is vast. I've seen placement fees as low as 10%, and I've seen them as high as about 45, 47%. But you want to keep in mind that ultimately the work that you're going to be putting in, as well as the type of requisition that you're going to be filling, are your key elements that you want to take into consideration when you're determining ultimately what that placement fee is going to be. Now, I would not encourage that you go any lower than 10%, especially if you're starting a brand new recruiting agency. Although you may feel that that is going to be helpful for you in terms of being able to land clients, again, you're setting yourself up for failure in terms of not getting compensated for the work that you're ultimately putting in. In order to execute an effective search, it does require your time as well as resources, and you want to make sure that you are compensated for the use of your time and the use of your resources in regards to being able to connect that organization or your client with a top quality candidate. And for that, again, you want to make sure that you're compensated fairly. I would encourage that you don't go below 15%, and even 15% is on the lower end. I would say your average placement fee should usually be around 20%. This ensures that you're able to get exactly what it is that you're worth in terms of the search that you're executing on, and that the work that you're putting in, you're getting compensated fairly. Now, if you want to remain competitive within the industry, there are other ways that you can go about negotiating your contract with your prospective client. The next thing that you want to take into consideration are going to be your payment terms. Now, your payment terms are going to be associated with exactly how that client is going to pay you once you do execute the search and ultimately fill their requisition. Now, in terms of your payment terms, these are typically going to be net 30. That's typically the standard within the industry. However, maybe there's a situation where you actually want to go about adjusting your payment terms as part of the negotiation process. I think that this is one of those things where you have to do what's best for you, but you also have to keep in mind that there's a significant amount of clients out there who don't pay on time. So if your payment terms are already net 30 and you're hoping to get that check within that 30-day window, and you know that there's a significant amount of clients who don't pay on time, you're already setting yourself up to be in a position where ultimately you might be getting delayed payments. I wouldn't go any further personally than net 30 in terms of your payment terms. Now, there might be a situation where your payment terms are actually sooner. So maybe you're doing like net 15 or net 10. And this can usually be with more established organizations because they'll have the funds to be able to do that. But again, you want to make sure that you're very cognizant about your payment terms because ultimately this is where your income is going to be generated from. Now, if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to give me a thumbs up, as well as if you're not subscribed to my channel, then be sure to go down below and hit that subscribe button as well as that bell so that you can get notified of all of my videos that do drop weekly. Now, finally, in regards to negotiating a contract, the third element that you want to take into consideration is going to be the guarantee period. Now, the guarantee period is the obligation period that you have in regards to needing to fill a requisition if a candidate that you place was to leave within a certain amount of time. So let's say that your guarantee period is 30 days. If that candidate were to leave before they hit that 31-day mark, then it would be on you to be able to either refund your client because that candidate ultimately left on their own terms. So this doesn't include any sort of layoffs. Or you would have to actually go about filling that requisition again. So one of the things that you want to keep in mind in regards to your guarantee period is that ultimately from a recruiting agency perspective, the less amount of days that you have in terms of your guarantee period, the better off you will be. But your client is always going to want to make sure that they have as much protection as possible in regards to the guarantee period. So the more days that you have is going to be better for them. You want to be able to negotiate and find somewhere in the middle that makes sense in terms of your guarantee period. Typically, for more entry-level roles, you'll find that the guarantee periods are anywhere from 15 to 30 days, contingent on the type of role that it is that you're filling. And if it's a more niche, specialized, or senior level role, you'll find that the guarantee periods are a lot longer, maybe sometimes even 90 days. I encourage you not to have guarantee periods that are really more than 6 months. And the reason being is that especially within this current economic landscape that we're in, we just do not know how long a candidate is ultimately going to stay at an organization. There are a lot of elements that come into play in terms of being able to get a candidate to accept an offer, but once they've accepted that offer, then it's fair game for them to be able to see how that organization operates. And although things may have looked promising during the interview process, that might not necessarily be the case once the candidate has actually started within that organization for your client. So maybe the culture isn't what was described, or maybe the work that they're doing isn't what was described. Again, there's many reasons that a candidate will choose to leave an organization before they even hit that 6-month mark. So you want to be cognizant of that. And this is also where data within the industry can be helpful for you to be able to assess what are the turnover and or attrition rates that are associated with a particular industry and or role that you are filling. That way you have an idea and can make a more informed decision about what your guarantee period is. Ultimately, again, you want to make sure that you're able to come somewhere in the middle so that you are able to be satisfied as well as your client is able to be satisfied and you can get that deal closed. Now, when it comes to negotiating a contract, of course, there's more elements that are going to be associated with it. But these are the 3 main ones that you want to take into consideration. And ultimately, the contract negotiation phase should be an opportunity for you to learn more about your client and for them to learn more about you. You want to make sure that you go through this in the most positive light possible, because once that contract is signed, you have a duty to be able to fill those requisitions, and your client also has a duty to be able to be transparent with you throughout that interview process. All of the things that is on the table and discussed during the negotiation phase are now coming into fruition now that that contract is signed, and you want to make sure that you're as informed as possible. Well, I hope that you found this video to be helpful. If you did, then be sure to give me a thumbs up. As well as if you're not in my Facebook group, then I highly encourage that you join, because we are in there talking all things recruiting. And then in regards to the contract elements that I've shown throughout this video today, that's actually a part of my free contract template that I provide to everyone. So I'll be sure to leave the link down below in the description box. That way, if you're interested in grabbing that template, you can, and you can leverage it starting from day 1 for your recruiting agency. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.